What's going on, guys? Alex back with another cryptocurrency video, and I have a special guest here with Star Atlas. We have the CEO, Michael Wagner. Why don't you tell him about yourself and tell him what you do?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, great to be here on the show with you. I think a lot of people probably know my background by now, but come from a capital markets, career path. Previously, a CFA charter holder, working in portfolio management, investment and securities analysis. Got into crypto in 2013 through script coin mining. Went full-time crypto, gave up the career in 2015, launched my first company in 2016. This is a company called Tokes, and it was operating at the center of crypto and cannabis, providing decentralized financial infrastructure to the legal cannabis industry. Met some great people through the formation of that company and building of that company. Two people, Danny Floyd and Jacob Floyd, are co-founders with me on Star Atlas. Pablo Quiroga rounds out the co-founding team at Star Atlas. And really, I guess what led to the inspiration behind Star Atlas was just looking and analyzing at the trends in the market around things like NFTs, around blockchain gaming, the emergence and success of DeFi. And we saw a real opportunity to bring, a very high caliber and high quality gaming experience, so AAA quality gaming experience, integrate that with a decentralized virtual economy via crypto and DeFi and bring that to the world. And so we conceptualized that in mid 2020 and announced to the market in January of 2021. And the rest has been quite a wild ride for us.
Yeah, you guys have been doing pretty well. I've been researching and interviewing a lot of different metaverse gaming ecosystems and stuff like that. And you guys are definitely sticking out. The graphics are amazing. So maybe why don't you touch a little bit on what it takes to make like a AAA game with this intense like graphics and stuff like that. And the gameplay is very detailed as well. I've been diving pretty deep into it.
Yeah, and before I get into that, I would point out for anyone who's not familiar with us, we do have two white papers on our website, staratlas.com. Definitely check out our original white paper, which really outlines some of the gameplay mechanics. And then supplementary to that, we have a game economy and token economic white paper that was released in August of 2021. So a lot of valuable information in there. But building a AAA quality game in and of itself is obviously a challenging endeavor. It starts with the selection of an engine. In our case, we're building an Unreal Engine 5. Now, that actually benefits us significantly in our timelines, our projected timelines to delivery, because the technology and features that are available in UE5 just really make that development process easier, to be honest. But starting with things like graphical fidelity, that's where, that's one of the defining characteristics of AAA, but it really extends into all facets and all aspects of the gameplay design. So, thinking about like gameplay loops, gameplay mechanics, how fun are they? How engaging are they? What is the lore, background, and story behind Star Atlas? And those are all areas that we're heavily focused on. And then, one area in particular that, I dedicate a lot of time to, but we put major emphasis into is the economic design. Now, Star Atlas is unique because of this integration of blockchain and the metaverse itself. We'll get into, what is the metaverse and what does the future look like for Star Atlas beyond gaming. But, it really functions like this independent nation state, kind of like a country, right? So we're susceptible to all different types of economic forces that, central banks and governments would typically manage. And so we're kind of susceptible to those and managing these economic forces, but ensuring that we're also creating balance and sustainability in the gameplay itself. And I think that's one of the areas where kind of the current list of blockchain games is maybe deficient in that, they're kind of unidirectional. They're focused on emissions and distributions of tokens to support that play to earn economy, but not necessarily considering how do you continuously drive utility and value to those tokens and create use cases for them within the game. And so for us, very, very important that we create this circular economy so that you essentially are retaining the tokens inside the metaverse economy itself and enabling or reducing the amount of bleed into the real world, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. I went over exactly what you're talking about, the economic paper. And just by the way, how detailed Star Atlas is in their explanations compared to others, it definitely stood out. So if you guys want to head over to the website, use our research principles, look into the white paper, read it for yourself. It was very insightful, and I get what you're saying. Seems like the tokens and together are used in every part of the process used for the NFTs, and then you guys use the NFT revenue to provide liquidity to the liquidity pool, and it's all kind of like in-house. I like that you guys did that. Now I have a question because you did touch on a point, and I just got back from CES. And I talked to a lot of big tech people, and they're using this metaverse buzz term all over the place. And so blockchain, right? That's to me what the real metaverse is, right? The actual creation of the value on the blockchain itself. Is there a reason why you guys picked the Solana blockchain?
There are quite a few reasons. I mean, first, just looking at the technology. So we understood that we had the potential to attract not only millions of users to Star Atlas, the game and the metaverse, but potentially billions of users, particularly considering the impact, the economic impact that this has on people around the world. I think this is well documented and demonstrated by the success of Axie and what Yield Guild Games did out of the Philippines, right? And the ability for economic gain in emerging markets is significant. So we saw potential for massive user growth and a massive user base across Star Atlas. So we needed a highly scalable, decentralized chain. Now, Solana, admittedly has encountered some of its own issues over the course of last year and I think going into this year. But we understood that in partnering with them that this is still beta software, right? We're building a marketplace on beta software that is Project Serum, the decentralized exchange protocol, leveraging beta blockchain technology, and also operating in UE5, which is still in early access. So we're working on the bleeding edge with a lot of technology that isn't necessarily stable. But nevertheless, Solana is purported to do greater than 50,000 transactions per second. Very low cost. Again, thinking about building out our project with a lot of the game logic actually delivered on chain. We demonstrated that with the release of Score, our first ship mission module. But as opposed to the approach that, again, a lot of studios are taking, which is, well, we'll introduce maybe NFTs into a traditional developed game. We want to actually build the game logic on chain as well, which will in the future enable us to create this truly decentralized, censorship resistant public utility that is the metaverse and that is Star Atlas, the game. But so low costs was also very important to us because all of those actions that users are taking are being recorded on chain as state changes. Solana also has low latency, so it's a 400 millisecond response time on state changes across the network. So low cost, high transaction throughput. I believe Solana, utilizing their proof of history consensus mechanism and their validator network is truly decentralized and just low latency across the network. Now, there were some other potential benefits that we observed early on, and it was, one, seeing some endorsements from other major players in the space. So thinking, SBF, founder of Alameda Research and FTX, and leading the consortium behind Project Serum. But really, one of the major aspects of it was that we were early to Solana. This was August of 2020. There were maybe 20 projects there. We saw an opportunity to grow together, and that's actually played out quite well. They were pretty pivotal in the early days in the formation of our community, helping drive users and awareness to us. And in the long term, the kind of value exchange is that we're going to be bringing these millions to billions of users onto Solana as probably their first experience with crypto. So mutually beneficial relationship there. And then finally, really it's being able to take advantage of this explosion of innovation that's going on across Solana. So a lot of the DeFi primitives and tools and Web3 products that are being released, those are things that we don't have to build now. It's a simple integration as opposed to ground up development.
Very good answer. I like it, man. Just some of the critiques, Solana, like you kind of pointed out very briefly, was like, they had the downtime. And that's one of the problems I'm having, but it's because they're getting so much transactions and it's a very new technology. So I agree with everything you're saying on there. But the second critique, I can't get my head across, more than I do. So maybe you can answer this. But is there an on-chain metrics? I've seen multiple. I do my research. I've dove into Ethereum. this is my specialty. So then Solana, for some reason, I can't figure out certain things. Like for example, you guys are selling NFTs right now, which are in-game assets, right? And other NFT platforms, you could see the total sales, you could see these things. Is Solana going to come up with that in the future? Is it an infrastructure problem, or do you know anything about that?
Um, I'm not sure specifically what you're referring to when you say like on-chain metrics. Are you referring to sales volume or?
Yeah, so for example, if you look at Ethereum, you could see someone's public address, all the assets they're holding, as well as every transaction ever done in the history. So if you go to Solana, they just have like a very short period. I believe they only show the past 6 hours. And there's I looked into the block explorer, and you can't really see the detail that you see, for example, on etherscan.io or something like that. Um, and I've dove pretty deep, and I can't really find a website. I've seen like big whole metrics. I'm just saying on Ethereum and every other blockchain I've ever dealt with, they have pretty detailed on-chain metrics that you could see in different areas.
I mean, all of that transaction history does exist. It's a little bit more confusing on Solana because of the program libraries and how they interact with one another. But all of the historical data is there. I mean, I don't believe it would be a true blockchain if there wasn't transparency, from the since the inception of the chain itself. So all of the data does exist. I would probably point people to solscan.io. It's my favorite block explorer on Solana.
Mhm.
Hopefully they make that a little more human readable in the future, but the data definitely exists.
Yeah, I'll correct myself in the future. It's just a critique. I've been looking. I've dove pretty deep into Solana. I've never had any problems with any other, so maybe it's just an issue on my end. So I'll look at that again. So that's cool. And just to follow up with that question, do you guys plan on doing any type of interoperable type of situation? Because I noticed you did launch other NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain, OpenSea. So is that something in the future for Star Atlas?
Yeah, the so the NFTs you're referring to are the Rebirth posters. Rebirth was a campaign we launched in April of 2020. It ran 14 weeks, and the intention there was to be able to capture the audience across both Ethereum and Solana. Ultimately, we deprecated our use of OpenSea after about 4 weeks. I want to say 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 posters. I would say in the short term, we're not necessarily looking at supporting any interoperability. Multiple reasons. One of them is again developing out on-chain logic, so building out game functionality through smart contracts. The more chains we want to support, the more languages our developers need to understand, and more programs we need to write. So for now, we're focused exclusively on development, at least for the game across Solana. Now, I do believe that the future of Metaverse and blockchain gaming will be interoperable. There's already a ton of projects out there working on cross-chain interoperability. Another question that comes up a lot for us is, well, if I own an NFT in Star Atlas, I'd like to bring that over to maybe to Sandbox, right? Or vice versa. That comes with its own complications just in things like asset design, and also developing out the economic incentive to do so. In many ways it's kind of disadvantageous for us to permit or enable alternative assets to enter our universe at this stage. That said, going into the future, definitely see interoperable worlds being the standard. Where I see some more immediate value in interoperability across chain is in things like access to liquidity. So whether that's listing your NFTs on Ethereum instead of on Solana because perhaps there's more users there right now, that's a great feature. And same thing with things like DeFi. So liquidity pools, lending protocols, AMMs, being able to access, say, Atlas and Polis, the two tokens across our ecosystem, across alternative chains, again, potentially some value. I think the thing to consider, particularly with Ethereum right now, is again the underlying transaction fee, right? Which we know is pretty significant, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially if you're transferring assets that might cost $20 to pay, a $100 transaction fee. So short answer is not necessarily looking to support interoperability in the short term. We'll see in the future, but I also believe that we are going to be able to take advantage of, again, the innovation, the development that exists across crypto, across blockchain, without having to build these tools ourselves. So leveraging interoperability functionality at some point in the future.
That's a great answer. Yeah, it is a big thing for a lot of the metaverse coins. I mean, a lot of them are kind of picking and choosing right now. And after speaking with a lot of SEOs, some of them are like, "Hey, we're going to move to a layer two.
Mhm.
Is it going to be another layer one?" Like, and it is a big question for a lot of people. And I think the way you guys are going was a smart approach because you just don't know the answer, right? So, like right now, you're developing the game, you're getting it on Solana, and then maybe in the future you could have something different. So, that's a good way to look at it. Great, man. So it seems like you guys have a lot of progress. I'm looking at the trailer, it's outstanding. It's definitely AAA quality. Everything you guys drop on that YouTube channel, Star Atlas YouTube channel, you guys should definitely go follow it. Is AAA quality. I have to ask a question. How many people on your team? Are you guys pretty big, or what's up? What are you guys looking like?
That's one of the metrics I'm most proud of. I often cite this, but in January of last year, we were at 4 people, right? Essentially, the co-founding team, and we had started to scale relatively quickly in January. But we're over 200 people today. In Q4 of last year, we brought on a new chief of human resource operations, and we also brought on a talent acquisition specialist. I can tell you just in the first week of this year, we brought on 11 new people. So we're hiring aggressively. I think we have a personnel goal of something like 400 people, between 400 and 500 people by the end of this year. So scaling rapidly, it takes a lot to build a product like this. So we need a lot of great people, and we have a lot of great people, and just really grateful for the team and talent that we have to date.
Is it fully remote? Are you guys hybrid, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, fully distributed company. We operate across 26 different countries. There's only a few people that live in the same area geographically. We don't have a central headquarters or office. So right now, we live in the first metaverse, which is Zoom conversations, right? And Discord. Our headquarters is Discord. So.
Yeah, and when I was doing research on Star Atlas, I've noticed you guys have a lot of credibility as well. I don't remember off the top of my head, so if you want to run through maybe, because it is, you're purchasing NFTs now. The game hasn't launched yet, and we'll talk about that. But you could definitely look at the credibility you guys have as an indicator to what you're going to be in the future. So if you can run through some of that, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, and just to clarify, I mean, we in terms of what's functional to date, we very much have an iterative, modular-based release approach. We're building an in-browser mini game, and then we're also building this fully immersive, cinematic quality virtual world in Unreal Engine 5. So the UE5 work is going to take longer to deliver on than our web-based experience, but we have launched the initial play to earn mechanic across Star Atlas, which is we called Score, project name Score, ship commissions on remote expeditions. And effectively, players today that own ship NFTs are able to enlist those to a faction. They manage a set of 4 different resources: food, fuel, ammunition, and toolkits, repairing their ships. And to the extent that they maintain those resources, they are currently earning Atlas. So we've seen quite a high level of success in that application. We already have, we look at it from 2 different perspectives, but volume weighted average price, TVL, which is essentially the average of the sales price of all the ships. And that's at 150 million. And then we also look at it from the current market price, and it's at $181 million in total value locked in Score just since December 16th. So less than a month.
Can you where do I go find that information? Because I was definitely looking for something like that, so my audience can know, because they're like heavy researchers. So
Sure. Yeah. If you go, well, you're asking about the data specifically, or where to access the game?
the data, because a lot of people make investment decisions because of this, but it's expensive, right? So like if I'm going to play the game, it's an investment of my time and money, and people will want to know that.
That's so these are internal data metrics that we pull. We do publish them on Twitter. So I mean, if you
Oh,
follow
okay.
at Star Atlas on Twitter, I would say probably 2 or 3 times a week we publish that information. So it's not confidential by any means. It's but we're just scraping chain data. We're using that and analyzing that internally. But to access the game itself, for anyone who's interested, it's just play.staratlas.com. That's our marketplace, and it's also where you can participate in Score and look at leaderboards, and there's some other neat features on there, as well as an outline of the roadmap. So circling back though to your original question, again, my personal emphasis is on the financial aspect and economic design. Danny Floyd is the chief product officer. He has decades of experience in AAA game development. He and his brother Jacob, who is the chief technology officer, launched a mobile game development company many years ago, and had some very successful mobile games that were, top of the charts for a while in the various app stores. Pablo Quiroga is our chief revenue officer. He and I go back quite a while as well. In fact, the whole leadership team, we've been working together for about 4 to 5 years now. So we get along really well, which is nice, and we complement each other's skill sets quite nicely as well. You know, I think it would be pretty detailed to get down into the specifics of each one of the major members of the team, but we do have a great team page as well, staratlas.com/team, and you can see a pretty comprehensive list. It's not fully updated, but a pretty comprehensive list of the various people that are working with us today. Some big new hires that we'll be announcing relatively soon, probably within the next 30 days. The last maybe partnership that I would mention here is with Spirasoft. So Spirasoft's a co-development studio. Again, I won't get down into the specifics, but they've worked on many AAA titles in the past, and we've been working with them on a couple of different modules that'll be coming out this year, starting with the Unreal Engine showroom. We call this Volant Studio. And essentially that is going to be the first opportunity for players to enter into this fully immersive world, view their ships, view the models, walk around the ships, purchase them, participate in ship configuration, and then be able to deploy those out on ship enlistment. It essentially the same functionality that's in the web application, but in inside Unreal Engine.
I love it, man. I love it. You guys have been pretty active. So I got to ask you the big question. They're going to kill me if I don't. When AAA game launch? When's the date?
Yeah, I mean, we really don't put dates on anything. Again, as I outlined, we're working with a lot of bleeding edge technology, and there's a lot of uncertainty there, a lot of research and development. We do have target dates. What I would suggest is that sometime in Q2, you should see this Volant Studio showroom release. Now, it's not going to be completely interactive, but it is the first opportunity to enter into these virtual worlds.
There you go. You got your answer, guys. Q2, that's their target date to get out something with the visuals. That's what I'm sure a lot of people are very excited about, is like the in-game experience, the AAA game experience. And it seems like you guys have been pretty hard at work. So I don't really have any questions, and I think I hit you with the best ones. Do you have any final thoughts or anything that you're passionate about that you want to tell people about Star Atlas?
No, I mean, great kind of quick discussion, but some super exciting things coming out this year. The one thing, a couple of things I would point out, other features that people are looking towards is the release of the Star Atlas DAO. So the first opportunity to participate in governance, but also to start earning emissions of Polis, our governance token. Maybe one thing I will actually mention here, since you have a research-oriented community, is we have a really novel structure around the in-game economy and the way that we bifurcate revenue streams or allocate revenue between ourselves as a company, as a studio, and how we drive some recapture of value into the DAO itself. And so, things like new NFT sales, PFP sales, or asset sales on the marketplace, that's all kind of company revenue. But any actual in-game activity, and this would be like piloting a ship. So the same as with Score, you have to manage that ship. You have to repair it over time. You have to keep your crew fed, keep your ammunition stocked. All of those expenses are denominated in Atlas. And then same thing with land, people paying land value tax or replacing mining equipment, operating crews there. All of the expenses that exist within the metaverse as an effective tax rate on the GDP actually gets recaptured and deposited into the DAO treasury as well. So if you're a governor across Star Atlas, you earn Polis emissions. You get to participate in the future design and development of Star Atlas, but you also get distributions of Atlas as well. So I think it's a really novel approach. I'm not sure that I've seen this executed across any other project in the ecosystem, but so that's really exciting. And
that's going to be really heavy for a lot of viewers. So let's break that down one more time for people, because I think that's a really good point. So you're saying that if you participate in the DAO, which is Polis, you get emissions from Atlas, from the gameplay.
As a base emission, you receive emissions in Polis. So staking to the DAO, you earn Polis in return for that. You also get to participate in governance, right? So a proposal and voting mechanism. In the future, Star Atlas is intended to be fully decentralized. I've described the metaverse as an open public utility that anyone has access to build within or upon or around. What that means is at some point in the future, the potential would actually exist for people to vote us out as the core studio that's building Star Atlas. What it also means, though, is that Star Atlas, the metaverse, is something that can truly live in perpetuity. It's not something with a traditional tech lifecycle or, say, an MMO, massively multiplayer online game lifecycle of, even say 20 years. Because in the future, people will be able to continuously build upon and create the future versions of Star Atlas. I think that's really cool. So that's kind of the transitionary strategy that we have in place. Last part is these Atlas expenses that get recaptured. Typically this would be purchasing, say, an item from an NPC inside of the game. World of Warcraft, you're buying a sword from a non-playable character, a merchant, or a vendor in the game. In traditional models, that just gets burned. It's one of the only mechanisms that they have to actually remove currency from supply in traditional MMO economies. In Star Atlas, it actually gets captured and distributed to DAO members. So it's really those three things: Polis emissions, governance rights, and part of the collection of taxation effectively of Atlas.
That's really interesting. Yeah, man. So you guys have a different economic system from what I've seen. You got the fast transaction speeds, the cheap costs, the scalability. Yeah, the AAA game. I mean, it seems like you have the leadership too. You got the team size. I don't really have any issues from my end. The only thing I would say, just from my personal perspective, is the Solana thing, but I'll look into that a little bit more. If you guys can go interoperable, I think it would be rock solid. One question to add on top of this, because I think it's an interesting question. Do you think it's weird that moving into this DAO world, like I believe in DAOs, don't get me wrong, but it seems like all the games are going in the same direction where they have ownership now, but eventually they're just going to give away all ownership and you could get voted out, if you guys are not producing. Does it feel weird to kind of give up the company you guys created and have that chance of, not owning it at all and not being able to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very bold approach, but we've all been in the crypto space for quite a while, and we're supportive of this kind of open source ideology and of the concept of decentralization. With that said, I won't pretend that there's not some economic element still involved for us, and that's our own ownership of Polis. So ultimately, we create the technology product, we turn that over to the world continues to evolve that and build that into the future. We retain our ability to essentially derive revenue streams through the Polis DAO itself. So even if we're not actively building the game because now it's been taken over, we still retain economic interest in the future of the metaverse itself.
Yeah, it's the beauty of decentralized autonomous organizations. You retain ownership, but you got these random people you don't even know voting on your livelihood. But hey, it's supposed to make it super efficient, right?
We'll see. It's a grand experiment still, right?
It might change in the future. I'm just kidding. All right, cool, guys. You got any final thoughts? I think I'm good here.
No, that was great, man. Really appreciate it, Alex. And again, some great things coming up for us, but appreciate the time here with you and look forward to chatting again.
Yes, sir. You guys heard it first. Q2, we should see something serious, guys. Pay attention to Star Atlas. There are one of the biggest gaming projects on the market on Solana, and they definitely have a bright future. Thanks for watching this, guys. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism, subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Thanks for watching this, guys. Catch you in the next one.